Hey guys, Mathil here once again with your yearly reminder that going outside is pretty goddamn scary because I did do this Boulderfest yet again, 2025 Boulderfest, and got sick pretty much once again. So stepping outside equals sick as far as I'm concerned, time and time again, just with large crowds of people. So yes, excuse me, I'm going to talk over the top of my Boulderfest stream here with all kinds of commentary about what I did. Did a couple of Boulderfest streams here just for my round and then my friends' rounds, and I'm going to be a bit sick while doing it, so apologies for that one. Basically, what happened is I travelled down to Brisbane from Adelaide, which is a 2.5 hour flight, to once again participate in Boulderfest, this time 2025. It is pretty much the biggest bouldering competition in Australia, and it usually brings a lot of people from all over the country. This time around, a lot of people came from Adelaide, so a lot of my friends and then a lot of people I know from the climbing gym that I climb at. And yeah, it became kind of a big thing. And what we've got here is me warming up for the 6 a.m. session. So the name of the game here is that there is 2.5 hours to climb, or 2 hours and 45 minutes, and you have to complete 6 climbs at your hardest level. Do as many climbs as you want, but the idea for point scoring is to get 6 climbs done as hard as you possibly think you can do. There are certain points allocated towards certain climbs, and typically, the white tags here are going to have the highest point score, the black tags the second highest point score, the red tags the third highest point score. Accumulate your hardest climbs, your highest points, and then maybe make the finals. There are 6 spots for the finals. It's usually some absolutely insane beasts that make that, so there was zero chance of us doing that. It's just basically a thing to do for fun with my friends and travel up to see my brother pretty much once a year as well. It was pretty cold in the morning for Brisbane standards, something like 10 degrees at that time, and the fans were blowing, so it was pretty damn cold at the time. And I was just walking around before things started to see what climbs were available, see what I should be doing, what I should maybe be warming up on, because it's a good idea to usually start out with some pretty easy climbs. And then the thing was off. As soon as the thing started, I basically went over to a pretty easy climb. This thing was worth like 16 points out of, the best climb being worth 70 points. So it's just a very simple warm-up climb. Did pretty much literally nothing for me. Not even sure why I did it, but my brother's like, yeah, let's do the easy stuff and whatever. I usually try and warm up a bit, just my fingers and stuff in the back with, the hangboard and the other boards, and then get onto some harder stuff. But it's still a good idea to kind of warm up your whole body with some easy climbs typically too. This one here was a very confusing looking climb. There is both a green tag and a black tag here. Green being worth something like 30 points and the black tag being worth something like 60. The green one actually was not too hard to figure out. It just looked a bit confusing because it's all green, but there's a few holds on there that kind of make sense. Whereas the black tag, I jumped straight onto that one without much warm-up as well because I thought, hey, fuck it. Let's start trying to get my fingers awake by pulling on whatever the fuck this thing is. I'm typically a big fan of the crimps, which is what that is, kind of like a small hold, and it was pretty damn hard. We then walked over to the back side of the hole, and there's this one here, which is a red tag, and it had some weird movements and stuff, and it shouldn't have been too hard. I was still kind of warming up, and I missed the fact that I should have grabbed the left-hand side of that volume. Volumes are just like really big feature-like holds. So I should have grabbed that left-hand side, but from where I was standing, I didn't see that it had an edge, and I was just going straight up. So I fucked that one up. And yes, there's some dude dressed in a Maid outfit in the background. He's brushing holds, and he was absolutely jacked and had a really good Maid cosplay outfit happening. So that was pretty nice. Then walked over to another red tag. So typically red tags are going to be fairly comfortable for me. It's just about reading the route correctly. So it should be more of a warm-up style thing. And the goal for someone of my level is to try and basically climb as many black tags as possible for the competition. Those are the ones that are going to take a bunch of attempts and working out as to what I'm supposed to do. But of course, the main goal for the highest level is to climb as many of the highest point ones, which are the white tags. And I did try a few of those as well, but they were well outside of my reach for the day. it's something that maybe I'd have to project and do quite a lot of attempts and days on. And then just showing off what, our little setup looks like, walking around with a chat in one hand and my main phone in my other hand. Well, actually, to begin with, I did have my brother doing all of the filming for me, so pretty much all of what you're seeing is through the point of view of my brother, the cameraman. He decided not to climb this time around and just film instead. And this one here is an orange tag. It should be a bit easier than the red tags, but this climb in particular is just a bit more confusing since it is made up entirely of volumes. But once you know what to do and, grab some of the volumes, it's actually pretty easy, and it was pretty much free points. It was worth a bit more than the red tag even. So sometimes, the colors are going to be a little bit swapped around. And yeah, that one was actually pretty damn comfortable. Once I did those few climbs, I felt like I was warmed up enough to try some more serious black tags. This one's in a bit of a cave, so it's a big overhung area, and it's a bit confusing. So it looks like it's got some powerful moves, some bad holds here or there, and a few of us did jump on this one pretty early and try and figure this thing out. And it took a few goes before we all started to figure out what some of the moves were. I actually didn't figure out the real good beta being sort of like the method for it, until much later, and I ended up just wasting a bunch of energy on this. So realistically, it doesn't always pay off to jump for the harder climbs early on, because you might just be wasting a lot of energy without seeing the correct methodology, because some other people might figure it out, it gets around, and then you know exactly what to do. Chat over here is just Kermit gaping, as they do. We came upon this white tag, which was one of the harder climbs in the gym, and then one of the best climbers at the event was on this one. Decided to just watch him do his thing. I think it's some Malaysian kid, but like an Australian, and named Trung, something like that. I don't know. I didn't pay super close attention. He did end up coming like 4th, I think it was, in the finals. So overall, this kid could really climb and was definitely a lot better than pretty much any of us. Of course, I had to give that climb a shot as well, because, hey, how hard could this be, right? And yeah, that move was fucking insane. Like, that was just a bad slopey hold into like this double swap press crimp thing, and yeah, it was bad. So I jumped back onto a black tag, staying in my lane, and this one was not too hard. It was a bit confusing to read once again as well, so you had to like figure out a few different ways of doing it, and there were a couple ways to get through this thing, but this was probably the easiest way to do it. Just kind of like brute force your way through, with a few bad holds, a few little crimps here or there. But then the hardest move of the climb was near the end, to get your foot up, where my right hand is right now, and then lean entirely onto it. Even though the hold is kind of downturned and sloping away. So you have to trust it very hard. And where my right hand there is the tiniest slot of a hold where you can't really trust it or grab onto it, and then you just like ping off and it just feels terrible. So I was close to getting it, but I couldn't really trust that right heel and just like sit on it entirely, and end up just falling off, unfortunately. So that did end up being kind of the standard I set for myself of get pretty far into a black tag and then fall off. So I was using a lot of energy and I wasn't sending anything, which is pretty tough for what the kind of goal is for 2 hours and 45 minutes. We did watch someone else then try one of the other hardest climbs in the gym. This is a white tag that had some pretty spicy moves, that like jump across thing with 2 bad catches. It was pretty crazy, but the final hold of this thing was the worst part of the climb, and I saw many people, like really strong dudes, get to the end, but only one of them actually finished the climb. So then we got around to another black tag. So this one was a very weird one indeed, which starts on a little rail where my left hand was, and then goes through a volume which has multiple pieces to it. So you're allowed to grab all of that on the volume, just not the actual holds on there. There's a couple little purple holds on there. And then try and just figure your way out through this like really uncomfortable, weird jam thing that you get yourself into. It was super awkward, and that was my first attempt. I watched a few people and they didn't get much further than that, and then I had another go, and that was probably my best attempt on the entire climb, which got me a bit further, but it was just very awkward. So I did a knee bar to like lock myself in a bit better, and then like get through the underside of that hold while pressing out a bit more. And it's really tough to even plan for this sort of a thing because you don't know how your body's going to entirely feel in some of these positions. And then you have to get around the other side of this volume and squeeze your way through. And it was a really tough climb. I ended up putting something like 10 plus goes onto this thing because I always felt really close. And plus, from what I'd heard, no one had sent it. And throughout the entire competition, I actually did not hear of anyone sending it. I hung around for 2 of the entire rounds, and there's 3 rounds total. And yeah, I did not see anyone actually send this climb, and that was as far as pretty much anyone had gotten. So it was some pretty crazy dumb stuff, but I had a lot of fun on that one just because it was a weird one to figure out. We then watched Trung over here just do that insane white once again, but once again couldn't finish it. So that's when I was starting to think, yeah, this climb's pretty insane. And that's the point scoring for all of the climbs. If you want to like actually, attack the climbs by points, you try and figure out which ones are best, which ones are most worthwhile doing, and then go check them out. And that's my brother, the cameraman. So that's the guy that was cameramanning pretty much the whole time. He's also a climber, more of a kind of a rope specialist as opposed to bouldering. But he does get around plenty of the bouldering. It's just that the event wasn't particularly worthwhile for him this time around. So he decided to just hang out and cameraman. And that was pretty good too, because he knows what chat needs and all that. So he was a good cameraman for the chat. So if you, see the opportunity to tune into one of these streams in the future, it's usually a good enough time to have a bit of fun for my IRL segment. So that's us just chilling as I'm getting a bit of energy back, because by this point it's probably been a bit over an hour of climbing, and I'm starting to get pretty fatigued because I am not in very good shape for real climbing. I have been for the past... here's a new black tag as well. For the past few months, I had like a slight calf injury and stuff, and I was basically just going into the gym and just working out, doing some, bit of weights and then a bit of training for my fingers, and then just trying like 1 or 2 of the hardest climbs in the gym, as opposed to just going in and climbing a lot, which is kind of what you need to do to get good at climbing. You climb a lot, you do a lot of different routes, and this is me trying to then just cheese the problem, because I definitely could not do what their intentional beta for the climb was. And it did not seem cheesable in that way. But sometimes when you can't do the intentional, you have to just try out some of your own shit, and sometimes it does work out. Usually when you try and climb, you do your best to see what the route setter of the whole thing wants for you, and then try and do it that way, because usually that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Sometimes you just have to watch a dude in a Maid brush a hold and then give one of the hardest climbs a shot and get nowhere as well. So that's what happened over here. We're trying out this shield looking thing. There's very bad holds. They're like super slopey shield things, and I figured get up, wedge in, and either I wasn't tall enough for that or strong enough or something. And then we watched Trung over here kind of break the climb in a different way. So I was trying to break it by like going low. He basically broke it and cheesed it by starting high without doing the proper scorpion style move that the setter wanted of you. But even with that, the finish was actually very hard, because it's a big reach or either a huge jump onto a pretty bad, large, slopey hold. So he was trying his best to reach all the way through to it on top of it, because that part is still really bad. Realistically, I'm pretty sure the actual move for that was actually just jump into it and just hold very fiercely, but it's hard to trust that and know exactly what to do. So he was still taking it kind of cautiously. I then came back to this big climb, because I thought maybe I could have another shot with some refined beta and try and get this heel up for the left one. To begin with, when I was first trying it, I did not think that was going to happen because it just seemed too high up. But after trying it out, and I think I saw someone else do it maybe, it didn't actually make a lot of sense. But by this point of the comp, it's like 2 hours in, I was actually just too tired to really grip anymore. So realistically, I do think that should be a climb that I can do quite easily. But because I was tired, I couldn't really grip anymore. And seeing the right beta at that point didn't really matter. I took a bit of a break and then came back to this one. Maybe I had the balls to like do the right move this time around, but once again, I was kind of just too tired. So these moves previously, these first few moves before that heel hook, were actually pretty easy for me. I could just like kind of muscle through them, but at this stage, I couldn't even grip that crimp anymore, which I was very comfortable on before. And then as the comp was rounding out, I came back to this red tag, figured out there was some nicer beta here, which is starting with a toe hook instead of just like powering your way through. And this should be a climb that's super comfortable for me with the right beta. So once I knew, once again, that I'm supposed to go to this left-hand side, all the holds are really good, but I just did not have the forearms left to actually close my hand anymore. And that meant that I pinged off. And yeah, there was a bit of lag in the stream as well, so occasionally it would just cut out and skip ahead every now and again. So with that, I basically did my 2-hour 45-minute session and then signed off. And I was contemplating as to whether or not to come back, because in another 3 hours is when all of my friends were going to start climbing. And maybe you'd see some better, sends, some cooler stuff. And I decided to actually come back. So I killed off the stream and then came back 3 hours later after having some breakfast and started hanging out with my friends and filming them and showing chat some more point of views of, some other pretty strong climbers, but also some of the other strongest climbers that were in the gym at the time, because there's 3 sessions. A lot of people do choose to go for the later session in the day, which starts at midday, basically, because, that's a pretty normal way to live life, basically. Wake up, get some food, chill for a bit, and then go for the climbing gym. And the way I do it is basically do the 6 or 7 a.m. sesh, which is someone in a roach cosplay outfit for some reason. I do that because that's closer to my time window for the stream. So it kind of sucks to start that way, but it is what it is. So as the comp was winding down in the second session, so I did the first, the third session is where most of my friends are. I was watching one of my other friends, Niamh, try and finish this climb in the second session. And she was actually getting really quite far on it and looked pretty comfortable through some of these segments. Had slightly different methodology or beta for that segment there, but it still seemed to be that this section here was just super hard to get out of, because that right hand that you're on is absolutely trash. The volume is pretty trash at that point, and then stretching out is just trash. So I didn't see anyone get any further than that. She did about as good as anyone I saw, myself included, and yeah, crazy stuff. So I then went ahead and tried to show off what the gym was like. Came across one of my other friends who just then finished his session in session 2, already on the beers, which is a good idea. They do have a little cafe bar thing here. Grab a beer and then just fucking enjoy yourself as other people climb for the rest of the day. Likewise with the finals of the climbs, you can grab some beers and watch the finals a bit later. So this is the first climb that my friend Khiem got onto, so he's pretty much the strongest of our group, and I said this one should be 3 points, so while you're warming up you should get onto this one. Little did I know he'd still make it a little bit harder just by man-moding his way through it. Instead of going along the edge there and like making it a smaller move, he just fucking powered his way through with a big campus. So campus means no legs, and it means just kind of doing a monstrous power move. And then I told my other friend, Hua, I'm like, oh yeah, this one's easy. Just don't do what Khiem did, because that's making it a bit harder and stronger, and thus less of a warm-up. And what does he do? The same exact shit. He's also pretty goddamn strong, so I guess for them, they're like, oh yeah, this move just makes more sense, and that's kind of how it went down. So it's still pretty easy for them, still a bit of a warm-up, but their campaigns were off, and we get to see people climbing. So this is another guy from Adelaide. He's a pretty tall boy, and I think he's already kind of figured out some of the beta, and kind of knew a bit more what to do and made this look quite a bit easier than what I did, except it was still kind of hard at the end. It's just got to kind of know where to squeeze and when to squeeze and stuff. And yeah, so this is just going through the top sequence, which I got to a couple times, but I was too tired to actually grip onto at that point. And the finish is on that big paddle, and then you have to match it and hold it for an appropriate amount of time to say control. Unfortunately here, that doesn't count as control, and he had to do it again because he was just barely slipping off as he grabbed it. And then we came back to watch Jesse, who is one of the locals of Brisbane, do this climb. He was an absolute beast, and as you can see, this looked pretty comfortable. And he was the only person I saw who actually sent this one, and he sent it with some pretty sick style. So he ended up coming second in the finals overall, and he's a very strong dude. I'm surprised he was the only one to send that climb because a lot of them got pretty close. But yeah, he's just insanely strong. So watch the Maid in the third round do a bunch of climbs as well. He is a pretty strong dude. He wasn't quite as jacked as I was hoping he would be because he had massive forearms. But he still climbed pretty well and ticked a lot of the reds and a few of the blacks and stuff. And hopefully it's not too impactful, but you should be able to tell that, yeah, my voice is kind of like giving out here. But it's already almost, been a few days, and I do want to get this video out. So I'm going to try and, just do a slightly worse job of audio for the sake of getting this video out. My apologies. But this was one of my friends that I stayed with. So I stayed with 3 other dudes. And Trung over here did flash this climb. He made it look pretty comfortable, but at the same time, he just did some disgusting beta, which had a lot of cutting loose. And yeah, I had a feeling that with the correct beta, a lot of my friends would show up and just kind of flash this one. Flash means first try. We had some personal brushing from Jordan, the head route setter here. He's from Adelaide as well, but he comes up to big competitions and does the head route setting because he's one of Australia's top route setters and usually in the ring for being the head route setter. So he was brushing for Newy over here, which is one of my other friends. And Newy was actually struggling on this climb quite a lot. So Newy did end up finishing quite a lot of blacks, which is pretty good for him and for all of us. But this one in particular, he did not enjoy this next move. So this is one of my other friends that I stayed with for the weekend, Min, and he did have a pretty good time on this climb. So that left heel was really sticking quite well until it didn't. So thanks for that one, Min. I look like an asshole. Yeah, he... Otherwise, just, kind of flew through this one pretty comfortably. Had pretty strong grip, pretty strong flying around prowess, and got that, I think, second go. So it wasn't quite his first one, but still made it look pretty damn good. And then after that, we had some dude that I had not seen before just basically beasted his way through this because, as you can see, he kind of like campused the hardest part of the climb, which did not seem possible to me. And he just went, setting up legs is too hard. I'm just going to fucking fly through this thing. And he was kind of a beast. I don't think he actually made finals because I don't remember seeing him in the finals. So even though he looks like a beast, he's still not quite as strong as some of the other dudes out there. This is then probably Adelaide or South Australia's like strongest female climber, Ali. And she did pretty good on this one too. Kind of jumped in after, a bunch of our boys tried sending and stuff. And I think she got it first try or second try and made it look pretty comfortable as well. She only missed out in the finals by maybe 1 or 2 spots, so she was pretty close, but not quite there. And then Khiem jumped on this black tag over here. Looked absolutely disgusting. So it's supposed to be a big lâché move where you like whip yourself across. That's the type of stuff I'm pretty damn bad at. I'm like not good at coordinating, kind of, hesitant on a lot of this stuff, but Khiem flies through that shit like it's nothing, and that looked like a very comfortable move for him. I was lagging a bit at this point. Like, there were kind of dead spots all over the gym, and even spots that weren't dead that just started being dead, so it was hard to tell what the hell was going on with the internet at times, because I was on the gym Wi-Fi. But yeah, sometimes I just have to readjust and try and lag less. The end of this climb did look a little bit spicy. You had to like really trust a foot and basically do a pistol squat off of nothing, but he made it look pretty comfortable. This is the climb that I saw at the start that looked really, really hard, and some of these beasts decided to get on and give it a shot. I only captured a couple of their attempts, and they did not finish it during this, but from what I heard, they did end up figuring it out and finishing it. Unfortunately, I did not see that. Just some really small crimps and some rails. This is Kensho, another one of our friends from Adelaide, who managed to do this black tag slab. It's kind of a slab, but when there's still some, powerful moves involved, it's more like a power slab. It was one of the easier blacks that people ended up sending. I didn't try it at all because I don't give a shit. It's not that much fun for me, so I'm not there for points. I was there for fun. Yeah, it went down for a few people, but then it was still pretty tough for a lot of others. Came across some little dog, and it was pretty cute. Pretty, tiny for the world, so it looked kind of scared and intimidated. And then, yeah, people bring their dogs to climbing all the time, just as long as they're well behaved, etc. It's all good. We have then Newy, who tried this tough climb out. I tried to give him as much beta as I could, tell him what to do, knee bars and wrap underneath and stand up and all that. But it is a weird climb, and it is one you pretty much have to contort your own body towards. Like, it's not really going to necessarily work for everyone the same thing that it worked for you because of how weird your body fits into it. So he did all right. I think he got to the same point I did a couple times, but it did take a bit more figuring out. And then I tried to kind of coach through a bit, going, this is what you got to do, and this is how I did it, and it's how I saw some other people do it, and stand up and do that. And yeah, it's all about just getting through a problem, because in bouldering, these are called problems. You have climbing problems, and you try and solve them, basically. So it's just a good, wholesome, fun time. Vien over here is another one of the Adelaide crew, and he had a pretty good time going through this one. So in the background, we can also see someone trying the white tag. But yeah, Vien kind of figured this one out for himself pretty quickly. But once again, it's just the second half, or the last little bit of the climb, that seemed to be fucking everyone over. It seemed way too hard. So as I said, I didn't end up seeing anyone send this, because the strongest boys in the gym don't have to do this one for points, because it's not worth the top 6 amount of points. Once again, in the background, you can see Khiem flying through that white tag. He's trying the some of the hardest shit, because he's also trying to make the finals. Unfortunately, he gets stuck at that same one move, because actually catching that last hold was really hard to do. It's just Jesse who managed to do it that first try, and for some reason made it look very easy. We then have Trung, who tried out the same climb I tried a few times. Trung is a good bit stronger than me, I think, on some of this powerful type stuff, but he didn't actually enjoy this slope hold at all for some reason. He was saying it was really hard for him to get onto and stuff. But then after that, he still had similar issues to what I did when trying to finish this one off. I did see a few people finish this the way that we're going, and it is just a matter of, having the right body positioning and stuff and getting over the top of it correctly. And it shouldn't have been that hard for us, but it is what it is. So then there's white tag over here that was just a bit of a pop move with a toe hook. And then you have to remove that toe hook and jump through. And that was a tough one. I only saw a couple of people send this, and they were on the taller side of things. We then saw that people figured out how to cheese this climb once again. So starting the way that Trung started, except running into it, instead of the original start, you can do that, and it started to get pretty crazy. Some people ended up getting through that climb and doing some pretty interesting beta, and once some really interesting beta got unlocked, a lot of people started sending it. So that's part of the benefit of going later in the comp and seeing other people do stuff. So this is that previous climb. I brushed it up for Newy and wanted to show the POV of what that climb looked like, because it is pretty overhung and it is rather hard to grip onto. And Newy was feeling a bit more confident grabbing this hold. This one was giving him a lot of problems earlier, and he did have a good bit of a attempt compared to some of the ones before. Unfortunately, I think it still wasn't enough. He still really wasn't enjoying this hold, even for his heel. And now I wanted to let the raw audio play of Min figuring out some pretty interesting beta for the previous climb.
Do you love going to a sauna?
It's hard.
Do you also like steaming?
Get fingers.
In 5 minutes, we have a giveaway you need to earn.
Let's go, man.
5 minutes.
That's it, come on.
Today. It is a voucher.
Nice, man.
A very special place.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Hey!
Let's go.
The moves!
Let's go, come on.
Yep, he just fat-assed his way in there.
Yeah, he's got a double break.
So once that ass wedge beta was figured out, a lot of people started sending this climb, and Ali wanted to jump on that as well, and she kind of just shinned herself instead. I did encourage her to do that starting move, so it was partially my fault, because I was like, yeah, everyone else is doing it, but it didn't quite work out for her. And likewise for Newy, he almost fucking died trying that, so he committed even harder and didn't quite jump onto it, and would have completely killed himself, I think, if his foot got onto that. Or if his leg ended up clipping that volume. So it was a realistic enough start, but it was still pretty hard. And since people could start to figure out a different way for that first part and that last part, that climb started to get some sends. Khiem came over and then wanted to try this pretty damn hard white tag. I saw a few of the absolute beasts and showed the recording earlier of some of them getting about halfway, but I didn't actually see any of them finish. I think they did in the end, I just didn't see it. And I was trying to, tell him how I saw some of these guys do it and stuff. And to his credit, only after a few goes, he almost had that first move. But time was running out and he needed to go try some other stuff as well. So that brought him to this other, one of the hardest climbs. And he was trying to figure out his own way of doing it and did come up with some crazy shit where you match the starting little crimp thing and then pop out and try and fucking mince onto that. And he's like, yep, that'll go. I didn't believe him at first. I thought, man, there's no way you're gonna stick that. But he had a few more goes and made it look kind of feasible. So this is like the end of their session though, so we're talking 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 40 minutes in. So he was probably feeling a bit of fatigue as well at this point, but still made it actually look pretty possible. So unfortunately he didn't get that one either, and then Newy just needed a climb or two to finish out his points, and he really couldn't figure out how to start this thing, so I had to like walk over there and go, Newy, turn around, turn the fuck around, and like, point it out to him and stuff. And then, once he got the start, it wasn't too bad for him either. But once again, we are very tired at this point, like 2 hours and 40 minutes into the session. That'll really figure you out, a climbing comp like that. And I don't think he could grip much more anymore at this point either. So he did try and still got pretty far, but at the end of the day, I think it was just a bit too much. And that's about it. That's all I've got for Boulderfest 2025. You saw me climb earlier. I kind of sucked, but I had a lot of fun and, did a lot of road testing for a lot of people and figured out some betas. Otherwise, it's back to the drawing board. Go home, get stronger, come back, still suck, but have a bunch of fun. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tune into the live streams next time if you want to see how it goes as it is live. But that's the wrap up of it. Hopefully it was worth something for you. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.